125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Story. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Story and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
And a child shall lead them to buy our merch. Are you familiar with this happening?
Nope.
Okay, so.
All right. Yes, dear
Now you
listener.
are.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
All right, you guys, we have a random, what did you say, a Ronin stream?
Ronin stream.
The Ronin stream is now in session.
Yes, dear listener.
We've got a couple of songs for you tonight that basically what happens is we've seen a lot of DJ streams where somebody will buy multiple songs. You have to buy at least 4. And then you control, you're the DJ for the night, and you decide which songs we're going to listen to and react to. But there's also another option, which is actually the option that started this whole thing, is where you can buy just one song instead of buying a full stream. So that's $125 to buy a song unless you've bought three songs. Once you buy 3, then it's $75 per song after that. So up on our list is are we doing Motley Crue?
We are doing Motley Crue.
Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood, and we don't have any comments to make on it. There's no comments from the person who requested this, from the homie that requested this.
I want to say though that this is like one of their bigger songs, right? Dr. Feelgood.
Oh.
I saw a behind the music thing that was featuring these guys, and Dr. Feelgood was like one of the songs that like really blew them up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, that behind the music, I'm surprised nobody has like wanted us to review a behind the music episode yet. When are we going to do that George Carlin thing? Is that up? Up already?
No, I think he's still deciding whether or not he's going to do it.
Oh, he's still deciding whether he wants to do it or not. Okay.
To my knowledge.
Shout out to Eric. All right, guys. Song numero uno. Thank you for the super chat,
Thank
sir.
you for the super chat, Eric.
This is Dr. Feelgood. The name of the band is Motley Crue, like a Motley Crue of kids, isn't it? We've been, when is the George Carlin thing? I am not sure.
I'll tell you what, keep an eye on our Instagram, and I will post there when it's going to be.
Shout out
if
to
the person ends up like booking it, then I'll let you know.
Right.
So if you don't get an announcement, it's because
the
it hasn't
person is like in the middle of booking it. It was weird, like trying to figure out like how to do it. Just because it's so different, so like the pricing's a little bit weird, but we'll figure it out. All right.
In the meantime, Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood.
Here we go,
Let's
you beautiful
go.
people. Dr. Feelgood. The name of the band is Motley Crue. Let's check it out.
80s for sure.
Immediately we're in the 80s. Alright,
What's going on?
Dispatch, go ahead. We have a 17-year-old
listener,
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood, Motley Crue. Who was that for?
The big homie.
The big who? What's the name of the
I
big
don't know,
homie?
babe. Remember I told you that.
All right, that was Dr. Feelgood by the band. I was gonna say Metallica. It's not Metallica.
So
what's the name of this band?
Whoever's song this is, if you send me a message either to the secret email or through Patreon, or find some other way to contact me. Those are the easiest
all the
ways.
methodology.
If you do, I will put this video back out with your name across the bottom.
You'll be famous for all time.
You'll get some additional editing to your video and some special recognition.
For all internet time. Speaking of fame, dear listener, I don't know if you recognize this lovely young lady and this lovely young boy and this lovely young
Do
baby.
you recognize these?
But you can recognize this right here. This is Fuji Bear Baby Formula, dear listener. That is, you can
That's
find
us.
us at Amazon.com. American formula standards haven't been significantly updated since 1980, and Fuji Bear goes by European standards, which literally just got updated another 2 months ago.
Right.
So if you're worried about care, concern, and quality ingredients, Fuji Bear is the way to go. Okay, there's our commercial. All right, now, dear listener, check this out. We are... Okay, so that song... So this is a hair band, right? This is Motley Crue, they're a hair band. And the stereotype for hair bands is that they're not really saying anything. It's just literally sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hair band folks took that to like the 50 millionth degree, the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was pretty much what was going on. Shout out to Sur. You're great. A big hug from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Long live Brazil! Okay, so like, that's supposed to be kind of like an insignificant song. As far as like, they're not really saying anything. It's a hair band. Hair bands are not about. They're not about saying anything. But actually, I don't know, bro. If you look at these lyrics, there are some things that I would say are actually pretty significant story wise of what he's actually saying. Especially
this is for Jacob.
Shout out to Jacob. Especially in the context of the war on drugs. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys were in the 80s. That was, like, the height of the whole, like, hey, just say no.
Yeah.
Rat tail Jimmy.
Well, people were, like, coming into the idea of what, to me, in the 80s represented when sex, drugs, and rock and roll really started having their effect on humanity. Like, you started seeing, the breakout of AIDS and people, you know what I mean? Like, I think people weren't sure how things were going to, and then in the 80s, I think we started realizing there were consequences to certain things.
That's such a good point, because in the 70s, I mean, we weren't really around in the 80s either, but like, in the 70s, it was the sort of like, hey man, free love, the 60s, 70s, free love, sexual revolution stuff. That is true. And like, there was this sort of like, everybody was just having sex. There were no consequences. The doors, everybody's just partying, having a good time. I mean, Jimmy died. These people died of ODs. But as far as like the other sort of impacts of the lifestyle, it was all pretty much glamorized by the time you got to these guys. Rat Tail Jimmy's a secondhand hood. You're a hoodlum.
A hoodlum?
That's what it means. So he's like a second-hand hood. He's not a real gangster.
Okay.
It's funny. We had this guy in our hood who nobody liked him. He was extremely ugly. He was actually, now that I actually think about it, he was actually a really horrible individual. He was really ugly. None of the girls liked him. So he went off, like, there was like a rumor that he went off with some underage girl or whatever and did stuff with this underage girl, which of course it's the hood, so it's very difficult to, I don't
to know whether or not something happened, or to know the age of the girl.
It's hard to tell like how old the girl actually is. You know what I'm saying? Where we're from, but anyway, he started drug dealing, and he, obviously his wardrobe began to change very quickly. He, everything began to change very quickly, but it was weird because like nobody liked him. We still didn't like him. Like, the dude was just ugly, and he was drunk, but you could tell that he thought he was like
cool.
the king of the world. He thought he was cool. I mean, he was dressing. The way he was dressing was extreme. I mean, you could tell he had money.
You know how there's like some people that they're like.
Go ahead, let
shout
it
out,
out. Let
shout
it
out to that terrible show. Because you know she says medium ugly. Okay, you know how there's like some people where they're not very attractive, but then they know how to dress, and so then that kind of changes things for them. It kind of puts them in a different bracket. Like
Sure. Yeah.
even after he started, it didn't change.
No, his
He was
kinda
just such
like
a crummy person that it just affected the.
girls that didn't know him, like outside of our neighborhood. Like once you got out of 161st, like where we were from, like you going out partying and clubbing and stuff, it was fine. But like in our hood, like he wasn't getting any burn whatsoever. It's just because he's kind of like stuck
Yeah.
in that stereotype. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But like you could tell, it was crazy because his brother was like this big religious Muslim, like opened a mosque like literally right next door to their apartment, and so like it was like this Cain and Abel thing where the brother was like leading people into the mosque to pray, meanwhile his other brother's outside selling drugs.
Dr.
Like,
Feelgood's on his way.
it was definitely a weird situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I never liked that dude. No, you almost felt bad for him, but anyway.
Yeah.
that's it,
I mean,
Rocky.
I feel bad for him from this chair, but I don't know what it would be like if I was there, and I don't know how true the underage thing is either, because obviously if he did something to an underage person, then I'm like,
Yeah, fuck. There you go, Deshaun. Have a good one. Have a good life. I wonder what he's doing right now. You always wonder, like, yo,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Rat Tail Jimmy's a secondhand hood he deals out in Hollywood. Got a 65 Chevy primered flames traded for some powered goods.
Yeah, it
Jigsaw
sounds like
Jimmy's
though that
running
he's
game.
working for the government, right? He's doing that, but cops on the corner always ignore somebody's getting paid. Jimmy's got it wired, laws for hire. Got it made in the shade.
Well, I would say he's working with the government per se, but that he's paying off agents of the government, which would be
he's
the
paying
cops.
them off.
So he's paying them off. He's basically
Oh, when it said Jimmy's got it wired, I thought it meant like he has a wire and he's...
laws for hire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that means he's paying off the
cops to leave him alone.
The cops to look the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is funny because we were watching Better Call Saul. That guy started doing his little criminal enterprise on the side. All of a sudden, he gets like this like neon yellow Hummer. Remember that guy? Like the neon, which like it happens though. Like it almost happened like overnight with those dudes with the drug money, man. Like shit happened overnight. Like then like one day he's dressing like you. And then the next day he's in Parasucos and all this other shit. Parasucos were big for like 1 year where I was from.
You know what? I feel like I know exactly what that is.
Parasuco, it was these jeans with these with this like light strip, like you know, like the landing strip.
Yes, down the side.
Yeah.
Yes,
down the side,
I remember these.
Oh yeah. So like there's 1 year, like we showed up at school.
Like these.
Everybody was rocking Parasucos, like
this.
yeah,
right?
that was exactly it. Send me that screenshot. I'm gonna send it to everybody.
All right, you guys are gonna remember this. You know what Walmart used to after they were popularized and they had been popularized, then Walmart came up with stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. There was a bootleg Walmart version. Yeah.
There it is.
There were these jeans called Paco jeans, Paco.
Yep.
And that was what I used to wear.
Okay.
And they were like, yo, Finn's rocking the Paco jeans. Because the Paco jeans were like bootleg.
Big deal.
They were like, yeah, they go to Parasucos. Anyway, that dude was rocking Parasucos the next day. I was like, oh man, that dude is rich.
Right, I forgot where it said
That
Paco
dude is rich.
jeans.
Okay, so
This is great. Okay.
got a cozy little job, sells the Mexican mob packages of candy cane. So he's doing drugs.
Yeah.
He's the one they call Dr. Feelgood. He's the one that makes you feel all right. He's the one they call Dr. Feelgood.
He's
Cops-
selling.
Yeah.
Look,
that's-
he's not what you'd call a glamorous man. It sounds like your boy from the hood.
Yeah, he's not what you call a glamorous man. But if you go here, right, it says cops on the corner, always ignore. Somebody's getting paid. Jimmy's got it wired, laws for hire, got to make it in the shade. Got a little hideaway, does his business all day, but at night he'll always be found selling sugar to the sweet people on the street. Call this Jimmy's town. So he's having a good time. He's gonna be your Frankenstein.
Look, came by his wealth as a matter of luck. Says he never broke no law. Really? I don't know about that.
Yeah, so he's moving. He'll tell you he's the king of these barrio streets, moving up to Shangri-La. Came by his wealth as a matter of luck. Says he never broke no law. 2-time loser, running out of juice. Time to move out quick. Heard a rumor going around. Jimmy's going down. This time it's gonna stick. So, there the feds got something on him, and so this time it's gonna stick. He's not gonna escape jail, and that's gonna be the end of it. I was in one situation one time when I considered drug dealing when I was in the.
No way.
There was one situation.
Wait, I don't think you ever told me this.
Well, I think I told you once, but fleetingly. Basically, I couldn't get along with my mom anymore.
Oh,
it was like
right.
4:00 in the morning, and I knew I was not gonna live there. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just call up Ed. You know, blah blah blah. I'll get put down. Blah blah blah. I don't need this shit. But my brother.
That's right. That's when he
came
took you
and
in.
Took me in.
Yeah.
But if he would have took me in, that would have been it. That would have changed everything. I probably wouldn't have. There's so many situations over there where I'm like, yo, I probably would have been there. I probably would have been there. But like,
that's
crazy. So eventually, I always think to myself, like, when I watch a show like Breaking Bad or I watch a show like Better Call Saul, I'm like, what if there's got to be, right? Dudes that made millions in that business and then got out when they were supposed to.
Oh.
So
and they kept their mouth shut.
And so that's why you don't hear about them. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But like there's
but there's also got to be a ton more people that made a crap ton of money at the beginning. And if they would have done well with it and like managed it, they would have been straight for life. But a lot of times when money's coming in fast, people start spending it fast. And then something goes wrong, then you don't have it.
Yo, look at this lyric. This has nothing to do with the song. Pour the emerald wine into crystal glasses. We will, I'm assuming that's touching. We will touching divine to kiss catharsis. That's a very interesting line, whoever you are. Where the hell did you get that from? That's so brilliant. Okay. So this guy's going down, but it's always the same story. Like it just makes me like wonder like, yo, how many? Because there's so many people in this country. They just announced like that the Republicans just shut down the IRS. The IRS, they just hired like 87,000 new employees. The IRS did, and so there's been a giant outcry. Like, yo, of all the things to spend money on, why would you do that for the IRS? So the Republicans immediately shot that down.
Yeah. Yeah. What exactly were they trying to accomplish there?
Well, the majority, the story is you got a lot of these 1%ers who are using their, whatever to circumvent the process or whatever. And so we need these 87,000 IRS agents. But most of us are like, yeah, right. Like it's going to be people like us that got jammed up by the IRS.
Yeah.
So it's just funny, like, but it just makes me think to myself, yo, there's got to be somebody or a bunch of somebodies who were able to make an extreme amount of money in the drug game, particularly the 80s, and then got out when they needed to get out. And so they were able to, like, completely swim under the radar and enjoy, the spoils of their, the fruits of their labor.
The fruits of their labor,
But it just seems to me like it's almost like a natural selection thing. Like the people that are disposed to that kind of activity cannot, for whatever reason, like stop before they get stopped. Like, so it seems to me like one of those things where it's like the very mental makeup that you have to be a very good, successful drug dealer also would preclude the idea that you're going to have the kind of self-discipline to stop and leave that $50 million on the table and say that $20 million is enough. You know what I'm saying?
I know,
like,
but it doesn't. A lot of times it doesn't go that way. I think the greed just gets to people, and you see how much it's rolling in. Like, I mean, there's no spoiler here. You see it on Breaking Bad when they're making their money, and it's like they start doing the calculations, and what you were doing before, the amount of work that you had to do to make X amount. Now you have to do less than that. I mean, you're going to be working like crazy for X amount of time, a couple months, and then you're going to have a time. It's just the dilemma just starts getting with people, and then they think, I do this for 3 more months, but there's always 3 more months, and then they don't get out. And
yeah, supposedly there are a bunch of real estate owners where I live that were financed by that years before they went straight. Yeah, I believe it. I'm sure.
Yep.
I mean, Jay-Z did that.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
Jay-Z he started, him and Dame started Rockefeller Records.
He knew what to do.
Based on drug money. So,
yep.
But he knew to get out.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
the whole thing.
There's a lot of people, like if you listen to them in interviews and stuff, there's a lot of there's this group called BMF.
Yeah.
So they were a drug cartel, basically. And they were starting to interface with rappers. They would take Jay-Z and all these people on their yachts. Like the rappers were talking about being around them. It's like, yeah, but they couldn't convert it into just plain music. They stayed with the drugs. They had a drug income stream and a music income stream.
They did?
And the music income stream was getting them millions of dollars, but the drug income stream was getting them tens of millions of dollars. So they were doing both, and then they got RICO'd, so it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's just like, can you stop at the right time? You know what I'm saying?
The thing.
It's like,
That's the
I mean,
whole thing.
with us, I mean, we're selling white powder.
Yeah.
But it's baby formula.
Yes, it'll feed your little one, or
It'll
your neighbor's little one, or
It'll
somebody
feed
you
your little
know.
one. All right. What do you give this song?
So I think the song was interesting. I'm gonna give it an 8.7.
Google, that's very fascinating. It may very well be that we end up doing that song tonight, but I'm not going to tell you if we are or not. Stay tuned. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you.
Tuned.
That's all I can tell you, Googa. All right. I really like the song. I was actually surprised by the song because I thought it was just going to be a Dr. Feel Good about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Hey, baby, I can make you feel good, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought the song was about for my entire life, because I never actually said
So you're glad it's not about sex, just about drugs.
No, I like the
and
way
it
they
had
did
the rock and roll in it.
Well,
so.
he's telling an actual story, and it's essentially a precautionary tale. So my point is, there's real substance in this song.
Yeah.
It's not just a...
Oh, it's definitely a precautionary tale. What? Of course it is.
Yeah, but like they're telling a story. Like it makes me wonder about like the whole hair metal thing. Like, oh, they're not real musicians. They weren't really saying anything. You know, it was just dudes wearing makeup, all types of shit. Like it makes you wonder. Like I don't know. Maybe these dudes were really really good, and they were really saying like significant stuff. But you know, because of the packaging, we're
people couldn't get past it.
We're looking at it like it's not real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood was the song. It's a 9.3 for me.
Yeah. Shout out to Jacob.
Shout out to Jacob. We will be right back, dear listener. On the way. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go. We shall return. Turn. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We
I wish
are
Jacob was
on the
today.
way with a rodent stream.
Yes.
Shout out to all the rodents. The rodents are folks who bring songs to us that are not part of an alliance and have not done a DJ stream. They're just out by themselves.
Yep.
A DJ stream is really 4 songs. If you get 4 songs in one night, that is your dedicated stream. You can do that as an individual. You can get 2 or 3 other people, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Then there's also the alliance. $1 at the gate gets you into the alliance. So there's just trillions of ways
There
to get
are
your
ways.
song heard, dear listener. But this way was chosen by our good friend, the Ronin. Ronins are those who are not part of an alliance. They're not part of anything. They kind of make their own way, dear listener. And having said that, this song
Blaze
is
their own path.
USA
Okay.
for Africa. The name of the song is what?
We Are the World. And
We Are the
again,
World.
shout out to Jacob for this song. He says, I would like to show you a different style of music that I love so very much. A song from 1985, the year I was born, with a compilation of great pop artists coming together for a good cause. Wait, I just added that in. That was my commentary. That's not when Jacob was born.
Oh.
I don't know when Jacob was born. All right. With a compilation of great pop artists coming together for a good cause. This is not at all a metal hard rock song, but a great song nevertheless. The gathering is called USA for Africa, and the song bears the same name.
All right, let's check
This
it
is
out.
the official video. Let's go.
Is it?
That's what he said. It says over here.
We might get blocked then. Here we go. This is supposed to be a big thing on charity, and they might block us for the... Oh, look, that's the planet Earth.
Yeah.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the children. We are the ones who make it brighter than day. So let's start giving.
There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart, so they know that someone cares, and their lives will be
Stronger and free, as God has shown us by turning stone to bread. And so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are the children.
I love that vocal
Yeah.
We
style.
are the one to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. Oh, there's a choice we're making.
Wow. So many
We're
people.
saving our lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me.
We get down and out, and there seems no hope at all.
But if you just believe, there's no way we can fall.
Well, let's realize, oh, that a change can only come
When we stand together as
The
one.
girls singing. That's what got them mad the first time. They had everybody in this bitch song.
There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
Where them lighters at? Where them lighters at?
It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me. All right, let me hear you. We are the world. Gotta be all the children. Let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me. Come on now, let me hear you. We are the world. We are the world. We are the children. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to do this. Who's got the grime? Who's the white dude with the grimely voice? I really like that grimely voice.
We make a better day.
You don't hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Come on now, let me hear you. We are the world. We are the
Right
That
there.
one right there. Yeah.
Here. Who is
We
that?
are the ones who make
That
a
raspy
better
sort
day.
of.
Who has that? Who's that white guy in pain? Who is he?
Who's that
So
fella?
let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me. Yeah, yeah. We are the world. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. Yeah, we're saving our lives.
Oh, it's the guy that sings Born in the USA. Go ahead, brother minister.
We're saving our lives. We are the world. We are the world. We are the children. Yes, sir. We are the ones that make a brighter day. So let's start giving.
Who's this guy?
There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me. Good girl. All right, did you hear what I said? There's a choice we're making.
All right. That was We Are the World by Bruce Springsteen. Guest singer Michael Jackson on that shit.
Yeah, yep, the big homie. Okay, so
Speaking of being the world, there are a lot of hungry babies in the world. And that's why we have Fuji Bear Infant Formula, which is,
no need for the babies to cry from hunger anymore.
listen,
Buy this formula.
U.S. baby formula standards have literally not been updated since 1980. That's before we were born and before the song was made. European standards, however, get updated very regularly. Ours just got updated 2 months ago, and so we started Fuji because our kids can't deal with American formula because it's so,
The standard,
Substandard.
yeah, they're substandard, and it was affecting our kids' belly, and our friends were having issues with their kids on formula as well. So a couple years ago, we started this venture, and we were like, you know what? Let's fucking see if we could sell formula.
FDA.
But I said, look, we got to make sure that
FDA
everybody's
approval,
safe.
Amazon
Of course,
approval.
Vinny was on board with that. So we went with the best options available to us, and got like primo formula.
Send us an email, vintage@gmail.com, if you want a discount code. And obviously, if you leave a review, that'll be great. Also, we have a campaign coming down the trail where you might be able to get some videos requested live on a camera with us. Okay. According to the Black Queen, this was done as a collab to raise money for the famine in Ethiopia. Same thing that Live Aid 85 was for the same year. You remember with us?
Oh.
When they were doing the hands across America thing?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was Live Aid.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that was
everybody
what?
was like holding hands.
Yeah, I
like
remember Hands Across America. I totally remember
I feel
that.
like that. I'm gonna wait till Black Queen responds, but I'm pretty sure it was the Hands Across America thing, and then the Us movie. Yeah, see right there. Mm-hmm. Hands Across America was a public fundraising event on May 25th, 1986.
Oh, 86, okay.
Yeah. 6.5 million people held hands for 15 minutes to form a continuous human chain across America.
I thought that was just in the movie.
No. That actually happened. And then, like, you know, he created something terrifying out of it. But, yeah, so there was a real... I remember, like... early night. You remember that lady? It was in Africa. It was like Feed the Children. It was always some like white person in Africa, and then he had the.
You mean the commercials?
Yeah.
Growing
It was
up?
like the poor black kid, and there were flies.
I thought it was always Ethiopia, to be honest.
Yeah. It was the flies on the kid. It was like, oh no, and then you had Sally Struthers or whatever, the girl from All in the Family. She would go down to Africa and she'd be crying. She'd be like, "Oh my God, can't you help these African kids?" I thought it was great when I was a kid. I was like, "Holy shit, people actually care." Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so it was like Feed the Children. There was a big push. Like there was a lot of awareness. Like I keep saying late '90s because that's when I was like conscious of the whatever. But yeah, there was a really big push to see look, Brainwave had it. Sally Struthers. We will check for sure, Michelle. For sure. I feel bad for these kids on TV. I mean, the cameraman could at least give them some food or something. Yeah, like they'd have the kids with flies on them, all types of shit. It was really
I don't know what they did with them after.
But tug at your heartstrings for sure.
Yeah. That was a hard.
What?
It's like that kid. Like when you talk about that, it makes me think. Remember that one with the child that was like leaned over and the vulture was right there.
Yeah.
And I remember that review because it like sticks into my head so much because this guy took that picture and I was like, what? They didn't even feed him. Just like basically what you just said. What is it, the Black Queen?
Yeah.
What you just said, where it's like, are the cameraman's going to do anything about it or whatever? And
well, that cameraman actually like ended up committing suicide or something.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I just remembered like how that story had gone and how he was going from one thing to the next. So I apparently snapped the picture and then headed off. And I'm sure he got like a lot of backlash for not doing anything about it because people asked directly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like what you said, where you were like, that picture probably has brought so much food to so many children.
Right. Saved a bunch of lives.
Yeah. But yeah, it hurts.
There comes a times when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. See, this to me was like in the spirit of John Lennon.
Yeah.
Because he talked about coming together as one, you know, very idealistic.
That's true.
A little bit simplistic. And it's really fascinating now because when we grew up, global unity was looked upon as a bad thing.
Yes.
Right? Like when we grew up, peace on earth and global unity and everybody recognizing our own collective humanity and overcoming borders, our theology was saying that's bad because that's going to set up a one world government and the Antichrist is going to make everybody get 666 tattoos. So it's this real weird thing where like as Christians, Jesus is talking about peace on earth, goodwill toward men, loving your neighborhood, the brotherhood of man, the fatherhood of God. all these concepts, and then American evangelicals show up and say, no,
that's not how
anybody
it's
that's
gonna
talking
go.
about and even now, like in certain sectors, and I'm, some people are gonna get upset, but like even now in certain sectors, when you use the term globalist, it's a bad idea.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
like I understand, like on the one hand, like I'm an American, and for example, I would never want an American soldier to ever face a world court.
No.
Like I'd never want that to happen.
I wouldn't either.
Like that doesn't mean I'm right. No. I'm just saying I would never want so like globalism, as far as like recognizing, like being part of like a global community, like there are people that only look at the what are the possible negative drawbacks of that? Like that would be one. Who gets to determine rules? And then it's like if you talk about like a global community, then there has to be some form of government. So now it's going to be like, so now we're going to have a global government. So you're going to have 400 people telling all 8 billion of us what to do. Like there are some real problems.
Yep. That
with
could go
globalism.
bad.
However, America essentially controls the world right now.
True.
Right? I mean, so
there's
it's
a
like
small few that are.
It's like there's like about 200-300 people in the world in America that are massively influential, that are essentially controlling the world.
Sure.
So it's like, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Like.
Yeah.
It's like, is humanity mature enough to get to that point, where we would have a rational global government, type of situation. And I just think that, like, even for me, maybe it's just programming. Like, I've been programmed to be extremely skeptical. I'll say hostile to the idea of a global government. But that's because our entire lives we've had this idea that there's going to be an antichrist who runs a global government. And so anything relative to understanding the globe always looks like it's the preparation for this horrible conspiracy, right? Like, so it's just fascinating. Like, I'm looking at these lyrics and I'm like, damn, if these lyrics came out today, Alex Jones and the rest of these boys would be like, this is globalism, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So it's just fascinating, like, how what we've been told about a given thing influences how we look at things. And now it's like, this is one of those songs where, Good Night Santos, I'm not sure if this song would be received anymore. I feel like people, this is woke. I feel like that's what people would say. People would say, this is woke. You're a social justice warrior. You're worried about people. You want to feed them, blah, blah, blah. I just feel like we've gotten a lot more cynical as time has gone on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not saying you're wrong. I just, like, I like songs like this. I like this, the way that it was worded, like, we are all part of God's great big family, and the truth, love is all we need. Like, when you have, like, as many children as we do, we have 7 with us. When you get 7 kids running around, like, there's so many, you could, like, try to put a bunch of rules for everything to get everything to kind of, like, run smoothly. And, like, a household is basically like a mini world, so you have, like, this little culture here, and you're trying to, okay, well, you shouldn't do this or you should do that, and, like, bringing it down to, like, just loving each other. So is what you just did, is that the best way that you could have loved your family, or was that a selfish thing to do? And that eliminates so many things. Like, it simplifies conversations. And so, like, what works in the family, that could work on a bigger scale. Okay, like, how many decisions are we making as Americans, or as wherever you guys are from, that are selfish decisions, or where are we trying to help the rest of the world? Like, it's true that we're all a big family. It's true that we're all of the same, especially with this alien stuff coming out. Like, it does make me think about that a lot more. Like, we keep having, it's weird because you would think it would be like front page news, but there's there's a lot of like development in the alien corner of things and like
Yeah.
UFOs and stuff like that. And
UFO
so
stuff, yeah.
like if they showed up, oh yeah, like maybe that would make us all realize, wait, we are all on the same team here. We got to band together. We got to work together.
That's
But
what Reagan said. He
That it
said at the
needed
UN,
some-
like maybe if we had an alien invasion, maybe we'd realize how important we are.
But
to each
I don't
other.
think I don't think that's staying power. That's like saying let's get pregnant so we can not get divorced. Like let's have a baby to keep us together.
Right.
Like there's some event and it's gonna bind us all together. But that's not gonna keep us all together. Like at the base of it, the glue holding it all together is that we would really love each other. That we would love people that are far away from us or that don't look like us, and we would love their children. We would want to see people doing well in other places, and that's like part of the we've got our Fuji business, but like that's one of our motivators is like what can we do with this business to help the world like big. And that's like a major focus of ours. And so I don't know, I just think that, and by when I say ours, I mean like ours, because you guys have taken part in everything that we're doing. So but yeah, I don't know, like
What plot in the Watchmen comic, Riv? But
okay, I will say
Black Queen was saying that there was a USA for Haiti rehash of the song in 2011. Remember that big thing happened in Haiti? It was like an earthquake or whatever, and like 500,000 people. It was horrible.
yeah, it's vague. Yeah,
And of course, the Clintons went in there and cleaned up, but different story. But
unbelievable.
there was a song like that in 2011, I think, and it was definitely nowhere near as emotionally impactful because it was clearly just an industry move.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just we're a lot more cynical. We're a lot more selfish. We're definitely a lot more tribalized, and because of that, it's harder and harder to see the collective humanity of people. Like, this is what happens when you spend all your time in these different realms on the internet, and they spend all this time dehumanizing the opposition. Mm-hmm. When you do that, you dehumanize yourself. So all these names that people have for the various people that they disagree with, like, they genuinely hate these people. Mm-hmm. You can't feed on that and then become a globally minded person. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
If you turn yourself into a person who's hateful and you believe you have justified hate because those right-wingers are like the monsters, as Jenk says, like, great, feed on that. It's going to turn you... Hate is kind of like vampirism, It's like once you ingest that thing, or once that thing ingests you, you become that thing. Mm-hmm. And then you're good for nothing else just to spread hate to more people. So, like, now you've got people that you can't even get them that love their own countrymen. Like, I was talking about this. It was like one of the last debates in 2019, 2020-ish, and they were talking about, they asked Trump about, like, these armed people showing up at the voting booth to ensure voting integrity or whatever. And he said, stand down and stand by or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I lost it.
Yep.
I was like, this is ridiculous. Of course, all my right-wing friends are like, oh, you're over-exaggerating, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, man, you got more guns than people in this country. And that you got one of the major leaders of the major blocks, a very armed block of our country saying that. I'm like, I don't want to turn on TV and see Americans killing each other. I don't know about you. I don't know what y'all are on.
Yeah.
But, at the time, everybody was this is a big joke. And then, like, literally, like, a week or two later, Kyle Rittenhouse happened.
Yep.
And again, feel how you want to feel about Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't care about the verdict. What I'm talking about is, I'm an American. I turned on TV, and I saw Americans killing each other. I saw a grown American man going after a child, essentially.
Right.
And then I saw that child kill another, and then
because he was 17.
People forget about this. There was a left-wing guy who, after the Rittenhouse thing, killed a right-wing guy on the streets. And then he did it. It was so weird. He did an interview because he was on the run. He did an interview with Vice. And then the next thing we heard about him was that the feds put him down in his driveway. And Trump said, hey, there has to be retribution, that whole thing. So, like, we had the opening salvos of a civil war in our country. And, like, not like a cold, like, literally people getting weapons and killing each other. So, like now we're in a place where it's like, fuck, man, like, how are we gonna get people to be globally minded and take money out of their pockets,
Right.
and give it to
That's what I'm saying. That's why I
people
think
in
that the answer
Africa
is love is the
or whatever, when we can't
Yep.
even convince people to love their own countrymen. Like, we can't even
What do you
love.
mean?
We can't even love each other. Like,
Listen,
we're just killing each other.
We
over
can't
this
even love our own babies in America. We kill our own babies.
Talk that shit,
So
boy.
we're not gonna care about what's happening in some other country with kids that don't look like us.
We don't care.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and a lot of people got angry. That's such a good point. Like, a lot of people got angry when, you know, those reporters, those European reporters, saying, "Oh my God, this is different than you know, Afghanistan. These people look like us." It's like, meanwhile, we're supporting the Saudis when they're, you know, as they're starving out these Yemeni kids because of the Shia Sunni conflict. We don't care about those kids.
Nope.
It's if you, anybody that knows my political worldview knows that that's my opinion of most Europeans anyway. And if you really focus on what I'm saying that not because I believe that Europeans are particularly selfish. It's that I believe that human beings are particularly selfish. That human beings are particularly sinful.
100%. Exactly.
And no matter how much we try to act like we're good people, how the fuck did Ethiopia get in that situation in the first place? Africa is one of the most resource-rich continents on the face of the earth. As a matter of fact, your map has Africa proportioned wrongly for obvious reasons. So there's a part of me that's like, damn, this is the best of humanity in this song. But then there's another part of me that's like, yo, Africa got put in that situation for very simple reasons. They're called colonialism. Like, this is not, you know, like Elon Musk's parents, like, they did not work 9 to 5s and generate that kind of a revenue. They had an emerald farm because they were part of a group of people that raped that country. So, like, there's always that, like, back and forth of, like, humanity can show you something amazing about what we can accomplish, but at the same time, there's that undercurrent of how selfish and how evil we are. You know, and how absolutely cold we can be. Everybody knows those kids in Yemen are dying. Now, our patrons have helped a bunch of times with Yemeni kids, and I'm with kids all over the world, and I'm grateful for our patrons for that. But the internet is full of literally billions of people. Like, we can solve everybody's problems, like, immediately. You know, like, we're in a situation right now where, you know, we're in year 1 of a pretty, you know, hefty endeavor that we believe is gonna benefit a lot of people for a lot of time to come. So we can't do financially the things that we've normally been able to do when somebody's in trouble. And it kills me. I'm sitting there like, fuck. But then I think about the big picture and all that. But it's just like, yo, man.
But it's hard,
Like, human selfishness is it's crazy. It's just crazy to me, like, how absolutely selfish and self-centered we are. And it's not the other guy. It's not the Europeans. Oh, look what they're doing. Like, we're all like that, dude. Like, fucking black people sold each other into slavery. How do you think those people ended up on them ships? Some Europeans didn't know how to fucking navigate that land, bro. Like, your own people sold. Like, this is humanity. That's what people don't understand. It's humanity. It just so happens on this cycle that the Europeans have, you know, a certain amount of power and influence. But, you know, if God allows, you know, 500 more years of world history, it'll be the Chinese or whoever, and they'll do the same thing. Like, it's human beings. That's the problem.
Right.
And the more that I think about it, the more conversations I've had, you think about, like, you look at all human history and like, yo, why are we not seeing the pattern? Like, why are we not figuring it out? And I was telling Dorian, like, a lot of world history is simply just God allowing us to play out our own silly worldviews and then come to the conclusion that none of them work. Like, so all of history is just looking at the failure of a bunch of our worldviews. If you have a worldview where everybody keeps ending up dead from starvation and warfare, then that's a bad worldview and needs to get dispensed with.
I think the other thing, too, is that done right, there should be more joy in the world. People should be happier. But everybody's suffering under this cloud of depression, and it's directly related to how we treat each other and, you know, how we take care of ourselves. Like a lot of us are not, you know, when you think about what a human being needs, the holistic, people don't just need food. People also need stuff for their soul. People also need stuff for their spirit. Like, people are complex, and we got to figure out ways that we can better take care of each other, and like our neighbors that are more direct, but also our neighbors that are farther away from us. But until, like, it's almost like a bunch of us have to decide it at the same time, and then we all as a big crew go and do it. And I think that you know, the Hands Across America thing is, you know, is cool. Like, the idea of everybody grasping hands and spreading out and being like that we're all interconnected, and like that visual, the physical aspect of it. But at the end of the day, we're still doing the same shit that we've been doing. People are just dying, and so those things are cool. But they've got to be connected to something more. They got to be connected to some actual change. Like, it's not just about the warm fuzzies you get when you participate in an event, but what can we do long term to help more people, to save more lives?
And as Guga's saying, at the other side of previous times, you could be raided by Vikings, someone else raped and killed your whole family, destroyed for a simple piece of bread. Mm-hmm. Look how amazing life has become. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that, you know, and I'm a post-millennialist, so I believe ultimately that the world is going to be a great place to be. I will say, though, I've been to places where that thing where you could be raided and raped and murdered and killed for a piece of bread, that's still in play for a lot of places. I agree with you in the Western world.
It's not like that. But
it's something that we figured out, and I'm going to argue due to the heavy influence of Christianity, but it's still not like that. But I agree with what you're saying. I almost feel like if we could get ourselves to accept our own collective badness.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that would be a big help.
If we would like take some mirror time and like really look in the mirror, and all these things that like we were watching a show yesterday, and you know, they were talking about abortion, and everybody knows where I'm at with it. But the issue was they were talking about like, it was the most reasonable thing to do, considering, hey, if you're in a bad situation, you don't have the dad, this kid's gonna be birthed into poverty, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the guy was just saying, look, man, some people just shouldn't reproduce. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, fuck, man, why is that the solution, bro? Like, instead of saying, educate, can we find ways to support women and help? Like, I don't want to get into the debate, blah, blah, blah. Go to Middle America. You can just go to Middle America, type abortion. There's about 10 abortion debates on there. I'm not talking about the actual, but I'm saying, like, when you say, oh, these people are poor, they're going to be born in a horrible situation, look at the foster care system. Like, why isn't the instinct, well, then let's fucking fix the foster care system. Let's fix our economic, let's fix our fiscal psychology. What, like, that's the thing, like, we always complain, oh, money for war, money for this, money for this. It's like, have you ever considered that maybe, wouldn't it be cool if because every time you ask for something like Medicare for all or more help for women, they always say, oh, we're out of money. But they're never out of money for war. Like, wouldn't it be crazy, like, if in the Western world you couldn't afford war because you were taking care of people too much? And, like, I'm not being naive. Like, I still understand there's evil people in the world, and you gotta strap up. But America's pretty strapped. We got a lot of guns. We got weapons that. And the other thing too is, like, nobody in the Western world wants to fuck with us.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Nobody wants to fuck with America. So, like, why? We're always going to have a higher military budget than everybody. If you look historically at an empire, that's just a fact. That's just a static fact. But why? I mean, we're like $700 billion above our closest, like, second place. It's insane. It's insane. So it's like, why aren't we, like, imagining countries and worlds where it's like, we're spending so much on fixing the foster system and helping single women or whatever, or even young 16-year-old couples. Like, we're spending so much money on that shit. Sorry, we can't do our war this year.
Yeah.
Like,
But
why
look at
aren't
us.
we thinking that way?
Look at us. The way that even we help our neighbor is to give them funding for more war.
Yeah.
Like, that's how deep
Correct.
we're in it. Like, we can't even give a nice gift.
Correct.
It's got to be a violent gift.
Correct. How would you suggest reflecting on your own evil without falling into guilt trips and self-loathing?
How would you suggest?
That's such a good line. Reflecting on your own evil without falling into guilt trips and self-loathings. Okay, there's a couple things to that. Number one, Western people have been conditioned to think that any sort of negative self-emotion is categorically bad as a category.
Right.
What I would say is, if you were a serial killer in a prison and you murdered 58 people, and you go through a season of guilt tripping and self-loathing, I would say that that's appropriate. And I think most of us would say, yeah, that's appropriate. You killed 58 people. You should feel bad. As a matter of fact, the extreme corollary to that would be a sociopath, right? Who kills 58 people and doesn't care. Mm-hmm. So I do this a lot. I have a lot of mirror time. I look at myself in the mirror, and I mean, I didn't know why I did it until I started looking at this science stuff. Now I'm up in quantum physics. Now I understand why I looked at myself so long in the mirror. But
It's interesting.
I remember, especially in like New York City, after we did something, I remember looking in the mirror at myself and being like, yo, you're never gonna be the same person after you just did this, bro. Like, you are now something died. You know what I'm saying? Like on the train, like something. There's a part of you that died just now. So like, I had to look at myself and like understand that about myself. Like, dude, you're a different person now. And so just looking at, and for me, I'm a Christian. So the minute that I dwell on my evil, I can't help but look at God's goodness and be like, okay, that Jesus, this is why Jesus had to die. That this is why the brutality had to be this brutal. Because we will let African kids starve to death. We will. There was just another thing on Joe Rogan, and to be honest with you, I haven't even looked at it yet, about the batteries, I forgot what the substance is that forms the batteries in our phones. That's getting mined, and the people are getting wrecked and killed, just like with the blood diamonds in Africa. So it's like, I'm looking at myself in the mirror as an American, and I'm saying, I am the cause of suffering for so many people, and that suffering is not so that I can live, it's so that I can live comfortably. And there is a degree of culpability that I have as an American, and I have a degree of culpability in not speaking out against it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't stay there because, one, God always tells me, I love you unconditionally. This is why Jesus had to die. So I look at myself in the mirror, and I can look at all my ugliness and like process all the ugliness of my soul through the cross.
Yep.
So that makes it so that I can absorb the guilt. I can even say, that's a real fucked up person that did that, which the person is myself, in which case there would be a form of self-loathing. I can look at that, but then all that gets filtered through. And so the guilt side gets taken care of because Jesus took it on the cross, and the self-loathing gets taken care of because God loves me. Mm-hmm. So God's love for me is overpowers my loathing of myself for the things that I did on the train or whatever. And so that's how I do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people, if you don't have a cross to deal with your own evil, I understand why people will fight to the death to deny that they would have taken part in something like a Holocaust or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. Like, if you don't have a cross to fall back on, I get it. But my thing is, I think we're, I don't think we have a choice. This shit keeps happening on a historical cycle. And if you think it's a small group of bad people that is causing all the famine and excess and the suffering, it's a small group of people. It's a small cabal of people. People love doing this. Oh, Elon Musk could solve world hunger. I cannot tell you how frustrated that makes me when I hear people say that.
That's because
so
it means
could
it's
you.
gonna take so much longer.
So could you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in America. I can't stand when Americans say that. Bro, you're an American, bro. Listen, I lived in you can't tell me nothing. I was in a homeless shelter all through Christmas. I lived like a king. I was hanging out in that synagogue, them people. I was living like, as a homeless person. It was cold outside. I was completely protected from the elements. I was hungry. I had something to eat. Hell, on Christmas, them Jews showed up and hooked us up. So That was me as a homeless person. I've been around the actual world. Americans don't know poverty. I can't stand that. Oh, Elon Musk. No, we could end world poverty tomorrow. We could. One less trip to Starbucks. One less subscription to Netflix. Like, we gotta challenge ourselves. Like, really challenge ourselves. And we love to point out people like Elon Musk and Trump and all these super rich people so we can offload our responsibility to our fellow man onto them. Well, if you think Elon Musk and Trump and all these people are so horrible, how could you expect them to give anyway? You need to start giving double time to rescue the world from Elon Musk and those people. Mm-hmm. Jesus said, if you're faithful with a little, you'll be faithful with much. So if you have a little bit of money and you take that little bit of money and you always spend that little extra on yourself, then you're doing exactly what Elon Musk is doing right now with his money. First of all, we don't know what Elon is doing with his money, or Trump, or any other billionaire person.
I mean, the facts are, a lot of people with a lot of money do give to charity. Big chunks of money they give to charity. And if you look at your income for the last year and what percentage you gave to charity, they probably outgave you by a lot. And we're going off percentages because it's about how much you make versus how much you give. So it's Elon makes more, so he's going to give more. You make less, you're going to give less. But did you give? That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, Amy got it. It's cobalt or lithium ion that powers your phones. And not just the phones, but also these electric cars. So it's like, oh, you're saving the planet. Electric cars are saving the planet.
But we're killing people.
But there's so much human suffering that's connected to mining that cobalt, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, we can't even do something good like saving the planet without doing something massively evil. That shows you how bad we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, fixing the planet.
I said we gave a gift to our neighbor, and
yeah.
it was for violence.
Saddam.
War. Here you go. Here's $14 billion for war.
Yeah, and it's true. Shelters only accept, especially if you're a man, only accept if you're not high or drunk. Obviously I dealt directly with it, but yeah, I mean, I remember being a kid, and there was most homeless shelters are almost exclusively women. We had one that was a mixed one, and my brother and I, we were like on guard duty for my mom. You know what I'm saying? Because we had but my brother was a high schooler. I was it was just before we hit New York. So, like, we didn't feel any way about it. Like, we were fine. Like, nothing was going to happen to our mom. But I can just imagine if like Orion and Ray's age and you just there. Holy shit. It was a really, really good song. Really, really good song. It was a little bit corny, a little bit John Lennon. I'm gonna give it a silent count out of respect.
Yeah.
It's a challenging song. If you really take the lyrics and if you really like internalize this stuff, it's very, very, very challenging. Mm-hmm. Like if you allow it to be. So yeah, silent count for me. What do you give it?
Yeah, I would go with the same route in honor of the topic and stuff. Definitely. And I really loved seeing so many people involved in the same song.
Yes.
Different styles in there, and just the way that they pulled this together. It just, I don't know. They ended up raising $24 million for Ethiopia, it says here, according to Genius. So that's a lot of money. Good for them. That's cool.
Yeah, it was.
Silent count for me as well.
It's like when vegans pretend they're virtuous for not eating meat when harvesting crops kills rodents, bugs, and sometimes even pets. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Good song, guys. We are coming back on the other side of the break. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go. That was a good one. We shall return, dear listener. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Story. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Story and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. Our child will lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Here we go.
We have a song. This song coming up next is Silencer, Death, Pierce Me, which I'm not sure which one is the name of the song. One of those might be the album.
I think the name is Silencer. I think the title of the song is Death Pierce Me. Shout out to Amy Lee Forever!
Oh, I see. Okay.
Forever!
Okay, so this is for the big homette, Rachel. Hey, I've just jumped on the 125 tier. Would like you to review this song, please. Some background info is that the vocalist, who goes by the pseudonym Natrium, was committed to a psychiatric ward shortly after the release of Silencer's only album, which makes this music very relatable to me as I have had my own experience with psych wards.
Okay, shout out to
Rachel.
Shout out to Rach. All right, here we go. Silencer.
Let's check this out.
Death Pierce Me is the name of the song, dear listener.
Yikes.
On that very positive note,
let's go.
Let's go.
Genius says he might have used self-harm to enhance the tortured vocals. The singer did. Yikes.
Hold on, guys. Is this your one? Hey. Yep, who's this?
So, anyway, we will get back.
Okay, guys, we're back.
Yeah,
I gotta rewind this,
we gotta
okay?
start that over.
I gotta rewind this. Somebody
Yeah, because you gotta feel the
tell
vibe.
people not to call us when we're working. I'm gonna rewind this. This is Silencer, Death Pierce Me. Let's go.
Rachel, out of respect for you, I kept listening to that song, but that was a very, very extremely difficult listen for me. If it was anybody else, I probably would have taken them off, the headphones off. That was... And especially reading at the beginning, like what Genius had said about it. And Rachel, obviously what you said, where you said that the person ended up, after this album was released, going to the hospital. So it wasn't just that they sounded like they were tortured. Like they were in rough shape. I hope they're doing better. Oh, jeez, where are you at?
There's a band that we're not going to review at all. It's in this genre. We generally stay away from this genre if we know.
Yeah, or if we know if it's going to be super destructive. For people.
Well, yeah, like this is a specific type of genre. It's like DBSM or something like that.
Okay, here's something that's a little provocative. But what do you think about? Okay, so Amy had said something in there. She was like, "Oh, maybe this has something to do with Jesus." You know, some of the lyrics like "Drink my blood," "Master of wounds, cut me." Put out my light. Like there's some things in there where you could kind of like see that. Like I don't think that this is about Jesus. I think that this is an experience that somebody was going through, and they made music based off their experience. But you know how, you know, obviously I'm talking from our religion. Christ came to die on the cross to save us from ourselves, from our own sin, and from, you know, lots of stuff. But if someone doesn't rely on that gift from Jesus, and then instead they internalize all of their struggles, like this person sounds like they're experiencing the cross, like what Amy had said. It kind of like there was some similarities there. Like you're either gonna suffer or you allow Christ to have suffered for you. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like it's a little bit provocative, but like, I don't think it has to be like this, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be like this. Like, people go through phases and things happen, like, but like, this is really dark. This is a really, really hard spot this person's at. Look, I'm keep going off camera.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, you know, I'm always looking for different vocal styles and things like that. But, you know, I've listened to literally 2,000 songs, so there's, you know, the Cookie Monster vocal style, you know, gets kind of tiring after a while, but I've never heard anything like this.
No.
Like this person's vocal style was like, a lot of people sing, most of us sing to project a certain thing. Mm-hmm. Like a photograph of what's going on internally. Like a good singer can take something, you know, oral and turn it into something visual.
Yeah.
And then there's a sort of like medium, like boom, here's a snapshot of how I feel, like, and then so like the picture is kind of like it's like a medium, like it's a window into the person's soul. What this guy did was, it was their soul. Like, it's not projecting something, it is that thing.
I agree with you.
And that was what was so disturbing about it, is that the guy was just having a moment put to music.
Yeah, and I felt,
you almost feel
uncomfortable, like we're viewing something that's sacred, right?
Yeah, like you're walking in on somebody's and I think a lot of people, like, you know, we're listening to this thing, and you know, woman is talking to other women and like, oh yeah, all you women are traumatized, fucking get therapy. And like, there's a sense in which it's like, yeah, like, get your shit together. But there's degrees of...
Oh.
There are degrees of pathology, whatever you want to call it. You know, my mom used to work on the psych, side, and, she'd say like 90% of issues can be dealt with essentially with the proper chemical balancing agents and some good inpatient, outpatient therapy. But she said there was a 10% where that was completely not the issue, that there was something spiritual happening. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the pluses about like the current scientific discussions relative to local realism, relative to like an amplitahedron that has literally trillions and quadrillions of dimensional potentiality. Mm-hmm. Right? The current model we have has 4 dimensions, length, height, width, time. And that's the current model that we have. Mm-hmm. And then so like if you're thinking as a physicist, some of them were operating from this model, you can get maybe 11 dimensions, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've got Hamad coming out with this amplitahedron that gives you literally hundreds of millions of dimensions. My point is like, if he's right, and I believe he is, and there's a quadrillion dimensions out there. The idea that there could not be intelligent beings that function in those dimensions. Yeah. Some of whom are hostile, some of whom are benevolent is crazy to me. Mm-hmm. It's
For
insane.
Sure. For sure.
I do believe that what we're calling the UAP phenomena, UFO phenomena, I do believe that they're not, for the most part, transplanetary. I believe that they're actually interdimensional, which solves a lot of the, hey, this destroys physics. Well, these guys are, this is a size of a 747. My point is there are dark intelligences out there that are absolutely hostile, that if you if you interface with them and it's very fascinating because when you have these people talking with these UAPs, they're almost all telepathically communicated. Mm-hmm. Almost every single UAP, UFO, close encounter I've ever read at official levels, it's almost exclusively telepathic. I mean, me, I've listened to like hundreds of these situations that are Jacques Vallée, like the top guys. They all communicate telepathically. Mm-hmm. My point in saying that is to say there is a secular, science-based theoretical understanding that there may be interdimensional beings that can communicate telepathically. That's science. I can give you the names of these people. They're published. This is indisputable. It's not even disputed by the U.S. government.
Okay, where are you going with it?
My point is, if you have a secular understanding that there are beings that can function extra-dimensionally and communicate telepathically, how is it a giant leap to say this dude is being tormented by demons?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm going with, is that we already have a category for beings that are intelligent, sentient, non-human, that are more advanced, whatever, that can communicate with us telepathically and influence our behavior. Mm-hmm. That's Jacques. If you want to know Jacques Vallée's real position on it, Jacques Vallée's position is that all the flying shit with the lights and all that, he calls it kabuki theater. They know what we want to expect or whatever. They know how. So he doesn't believe that these are aliens. He believes that they're interdimensional beings who have an agenda. Mm-hmm. And all the sci-fi stuff that we're seeing, that's all theater to hide another sort of an agenda. And again, I'm quoting Jacques Vallée. Mm-hmm. I mean, that the guy is almost universally revered in the field. I was just listening to Gary Nolan, who's a professor at Stanford University, talking about this stuff and talking about these telepathic communication of these beings, and they believe it. And these are not Christians. These are secular, but they're extremely credentialed. My point is, like, why is it so hard to believe that this individual is being tormented by an extra dimensional intelligence that is tormenting this dude to the point where he is he's having
suffering.
a hard time.
His life is causing him, being alive is causing him to suffer. Like the fact that he's alive, he's just, wow.
He's having a very, very difficult time, man.
Yeah.
And he is being, you could just tell, like, he is being tormented.
And consumed by this idea that this, it really, like, he wants abuse to be done to him. Rip my throat, drink my, you know what I mean? Like, he wants to be treated. Yeah, I just don't see this. I agree with you. I think that he was hearing, you know, call it interdimensional beings, call it demons, call it whatever. Like, this man was clearly tormented, and, you know, ended up having to go to the hospital. It was so intense.
Yeah,
It's interesting though. How much can a hospital do though in a case like this? I don't know. You know, like maybe you need to be at the church. I know that's not popular opinion right here, but I'm just saying.
Michelle sent me something pretty personal, and yeah, I mean, it Michelle, it made me think of my own, because I had my own, and I've talked about this. Maybe I haven't for a while, but you know, I ended up in a psych ward around 18-ish, 19. You know, I'm not sure, but. I was in a really bad situation, and like there was a lot of shit going around in my head for sure.
A
Like,
lot of noise.
There was a lot of real noise.
Yep.
And and it was fascinating because when I ended up and I I was out for like 2 weeks, like in my bed, like meds, all types of shit, and then I finally got out into civilization, which was just outside to group therapy. Then you had DBT, you had, you know, there's just so much. And I remember, like, new people would come in, and I'm like, shit, that's what I looked like 2 weeks ago. I mean, I was, you know, they almost airlifted me over there. Like, it had me in the ambulance, they had the charcoal, you know.
I don't know about the charcoal.
Yeah, because, like, I was sick. When you ingest a lot of that
right.
stuff, they'll give you charcoal because the charcoal will.
That's,
you know,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so all that shit, like, that was all, like, happening, like, one thing after the other. So, like, my mind was just, like, out. I was, like, you know, out.
Wait, they had the charcoal there because they were giving you so much stuff?
No, I had taken a whole bunch of stuff, so it was pretty much over for me. And my mom couldn't wake me up. She's, like, smacking me. She couldn't wake me up. And so they, you know, I ended up in the hospital. Ambulance came, whole 9 yards, all types of shit. And then I ended up in... you know, I ended up in the psych ward because they're like, holy shit, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So they, but my point is there was a lot of noise, man. There was a lot of noise. There was a lot of, you should do X, Y, Z. You know, I'd wake up immediately and be like, I'd hear, like, you should kill your, but it wasn't like, I've never been diagnosed with schizophrenia, never, you know, like major depressive disorder, blah, 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 blah. I've got like 4 or 5 of those, you know, diagnoses, but it wasn't like hearing a voice in the sense of like hearing your voice, but it was just an immediate,
yeah, I know,
like pure thought. You should kill yourself. And there was just a lot of you should. Just a lot of that noise happening, and you know,
Jeez.
It was interesting because in the hospitals when I got serious, you know, or serious with God, or God got serious with me, or there was a lot of bitterness and anger and I know that the people there were trying to be helpful to me. But, you know, when they started looking at the profile and looking at my biography and some of the issues my mom had and my parents and all this, and, you know, it was like, wow, like, you come from this horrible family and, you know, you're a hero and all this. And it was crazy because God just showed up and said, do not listen to them. He basically said, if you listen to these people, you will never get out of this circumstance, like, in your head. Like, it was clear as day, like, you're sitting next to me now. It's like, I'm going to deal with your parents. Like, your parents have shit to answer for, but your parents had nothing to do with why you did this. Like, I just started seeing them, like, in my life. And it was like, you know, you feel like a victim a lot. You feel, but, like, if you can start getting yourself to say, yeah, I've hurt people too.
It's super, super important. It helps break you out of that, like this self-pity, I guess you could say, or the victim mentality that you can kind of be under when you start recognizing that you have hurt other people. You haven't just been on this earth and suffered the abuse of everybody around you, and you've never done a single thing. You've just been a victim the whole time. Like it's untrue. So, becoming aware and allowing, I guess, that conversation to open up in yourself. Another thing that's crazy is if you, like, it's always busy, there's always noise in your head, like there's no chill. And sometimes people deal with that no chill by like making sure that there's always music or TV or commotion or whatever. There's always has to be action to kind of distract themselves from all the friggin' noise inside their head. But I don't know. This song was just...
Yeah, it was
I think it hurts more too because it's not like a lot of times when we listen to these songs, like stuff doesn't affect me the same way it affects Vin. So if we listen to a song and we're like 15 years ago this person died, I'm like, oh, that sucks. Boy, they put out some really great music while they were here. But you'll be like, oh no, and you'll be like, it will really like affect you. This song though, like there's no like, I don't feel better about this song. Like I'm listening to this song and then the person finished this album and went to the hospital, and like I would think that if they got better, stuff really turned around, I would think people would be saying, yeah, but they fucking turned it around. It was like nobody's saying anything. So I'm like, wait, where's this person? What happened to this person? Like, are they okay now? Are they... I mean, that album cover, do you see that? They're looking in the mirror, but there's two faces there. Or that's what it looked like to me.
There's multiple faces.
Yeah, look,
like
there's another one over there and another one over there. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Michael Nielsen is his name. Looks like he's still alive. Yeah, he's still alive, so that's good. He left the band in 2001, it looks like. Yeah, so he's still around, so good for him.
Good.
But
that's crazy. This came out in October of 2001.
He was in a lot of torment. But again, like I'm sorry, man, but there's just a limit to, and I'm starting to notice this, like when I walk around and like when I hear people and I hear them talk, like even guys like Sam Harris, a lot of these guys are functioning on meditation now. Like the big thing with Harris, Hoffman meditates 3 hours a day.
What?
Yeah. And these are not Christian people, but there's an understanding that there's something deeper going on. And if you want to be one of these people like, I've got to put a quote scientific name to it, quarks, whatever, okay, fine. Do whatever you want. Call them whatever you want. But this is something that human beings have talked about since the inception of our sojourn on this planet, is the fact that there is some sort of dark intelligence that is massively malevolent and torments people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
absolutely.
You
and
can
the thing
say
is,
whatever you want, believe whatever you want, that's cool. But every culture has it, every major culture has it. Every culture that doesn't believe in the quote spiritual world still has an unexplained category for people in these kinds of circumstances. Mm-hmm. All I can say for me is that me personally, Jesus Christ has been stronger than all those forces put together in my life and has kept me here. Mm-hmm. I can't put that on a microscope for you. I can't, formulate that in a mathematical equation. All I can tell you is at the darkest moments of my life, when those voices were tormented. See, that's the thing about this video.
He's the great silencer of those voices.
That's the thing that was killing me about this video, is I recognize that spirit, bro. Like,
yeah.
I recognize what that, like, there's a lot of, like, I hate saying this, there's a lot of people that rap about, like, gang shit, shooting people, all types of shit. Like, I wasn't no killer, bro. I wasn't a gangster. Like, we listen to this music, but there are people that are actual gangsters.
Yeah.
Like, I've actually, like, been where this dude actually is. Like, that's the thing that gets me about this song. Like, I'm never going to listen to this song again. I hope you don't. But the thing about this song is this is probably the most pure communication of a soul I've ever seen in this, as long as we've been doing this. It was just, pure in the sense of this really was what this person was dealing with, and there was no pretense. And I mean pretense in the metal world of like a lot of times people act like they're angrier than they really are.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you think about it, like when all these bands get on stage, Slipknot, all the rest of it, man, you've been doing this shit for 25 years. You're a multi-millionaire, man. Those boys ain't angry like that anymore. They're putting on a show for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not like that anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's why I'm saying, like, this was pure, because, like, this is where this dude is. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't even want him to be able to create something like this ever again. Inshallah,
for sure.
he's in a better...
For sure.
This is a silent count for me. This is a look back to my 18-year-old self, and I'm very thankful to God that He intercepted me in those moments. But shout out to that guy, God Almighty.
I mean, the only thing that I can say is, the degree to which I can't relate to all of this song.
Thank God.
But I can definitely relate to a lot of it. And I noticed that, like in my own life, that when you let darkness just kind of like sit there inside and you don't address it, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And for me, the only salvation, the only way out of that darkness has always been Jesus. From the time that I was 3 up until the age that I am now. Like, that especially when you get to this point, like, sometimes you feel so lost in it. Like, literally this person is just begging for death. Like, they think that that's the only way. They think that that's what they deserve. That's where they are. Like, they've been completely consumed by this darkness, by this evil, and it has so convinced them that they are so unworthy of life that they are ready to die. They want to die. And they're saying, put out my light, crush my hope. And like, just the words, like, it was just so deep. It was so painful and so raw. And like, this song, like, for me, I mean, I think that it makes sense that it got a cult following. I think that it's sad that it got a cult following, because what it should have done is it should have been like, everybody should have been like, well, this person's in trouble. Like, this person needs help. But I think that, other people who were also in trouble to varying degrees would listen to this, and it like, I don't know how to explain it. It like comforts this sort of darkness inside of you that feels good, and it's not healthy at all. Which, for me, like, I've been making a lot of like steps toward like breaking any darkness that I see like in myself, and just bringing that to God. So like, listening to this song, for me, like, at this point in my life, like, this was not I did not want to listen through this song at all, because I've taken great pains to escape myself from the type of mindsets that lead you to this sort of like crushing darkness. So I'm definitely not listening again.
Between like an Amy Lee type situation where it's like, lost your brother, lost your sister, that type of thing.
Situational.
But this is different than that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, Amy Lee could depress you, but it could also make you say, you know what, I miss that person, and I'm grateful for the time with that person. And sometimes you can have a good cry or whatever. But this is not good cry music. Like, there's a difference. I'm not criticizing it. I think he attained an extremely high form of art that most people will never attain to. So I'm not criticizing it in that sense. I'm just saying it's exactly why God gave us art as an outlet for expression. I just hope that he's still on the planet. He's still on the planet, so
hopefully
that's
he's
good.
doing better now.
And shout out to Rachel for suggesting the song.
Yeah, and for being, putting your experiences out there too, Rachel.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a criticism. It's more of a, hey, I'm probably a little bit older than Rachel. So for everybody, like, there's got to be a balance between us expressing our pain and us staying in there. Right? Like, so like if you're drowning, you go, shit, I'm drowning. Like, that's important to express. What's more important is to get out of the water. So the expression is the means by which we can get out of the water.
Right.
So as long as if you're in trouble, you're expressing yourself to get out of trouble, then you're in good shape. But the minute it becomes that kind of expression,
Yeah, there's no escape. Now it's just like you're just funneling your way toward kill me, you know, like wow.
Right.
And of course, when I heard this song, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, Rachel must be younger than us, I assumed. And so then obviously I'm thinking about one of my kids, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like if one of my kids found this song and this was, ugh, I'm sorry. This is a tough song.
Very tough song. But thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Silent count for me.
As for me as well.
And rest in peace to all my brothers and sisters who were not able to overcome. Inshallah, we'll all meet again on the other side of this shit. But there definitely is a dimension that is inhabited by, in my view, many beings that are benevolent and many beings that are malevolent. And so I'd also like to say you're not crazy. If you can relate to that, waking up and hearing immediately in your head or having this pure thought immediately, if you're hearing a lot of you accusatory language, maybe it's time to consider maybe that's not you. And maybe that's not just your crazy mind. So maybe the ancients actually knew what the hell they were talking about. And I'm extremely proud of you, Michelle, that you made it through.
We're very
teenage
glad you
years.
made it through.
Glad to have Michelle here.
You also made it through that delivery. Which in some ways can be more challenging than the teen years. Anyway, but in all seriousness, thank you guys for coming in on this song. Rachel, reach out to me on Patreon. I want to chat some more.
Yeah, we gotta talk to you. All right. I just want to know that you're okay, to be honest with you. Like, talk the story. Send us a picture like you doing a thumbs up. That'll do my heart some good.
Yep.
I'm a little bit worried right now. I'm not
I'm like looking back at the date. I'm like,
send that girl a message. We'll send her
I already
a shirt.
did. I already messaged her.
Send her a shirt. Send her a bunch of shit.
Yeah, Rachel, you respond to me, I will give you a shirt.
Rachel, respond to the story. We'll get you a free shirt. We just want to know you're in good shape. All right, guys, we shall return. We have another very uplifting song. I think the name of the band is like Cradle of Dirt or Grime or something. Like that.
No, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a crib.
Of grime?
It was crib.
Crib of filth.
Pack and play of dirt.
Pack and play of dirt is coming up next. They've got a song. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Shout out to Maggie Ibarra. And shout out to this band. Oh, they're not called Playpack of Dirt. They're called Cradle of Filth.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Cradle of Filth, dear listener. We are Christians, so we're gonna bless ourselves before we listen to this blasphemy.
Shout out to Daniel who requested this song.
Shout out to Daniel. The name of this song is "Swan Song for a Raven." I think is the name of the song.
Yep. And one of our people came over here and was just asking about this at the beginning of the stream. So hopefully you're still here.
I think it was Guga was like, "Hey."
Yeah. Oh, it was Guga.
Yeah.
Well, here it is, Guga. Look at that.
All right. So somebody said one time that this song was like a part 2 to her Ghost in the Fog.
Oh, right.
So we did her Ghost in the Fog at the beginning of this channel.
Yep.
So
we're wearing our white hoodies, right?
Yeah. So here we go. Swan Song for a Raven.
For Daniel.
I thought you were gonna say for Daniel Filth.
No.
Because his name is Danny Filth apparently.
No.
All right. Swan Song for a Raven.
Let's pull up these lyrics.
It's off the Nymphetamine album in 2000.
Because you know you're gonna need the lyrics. If it's a Cradle of Filth
It
song.
was me, he said.
Yay!
All right, here we go. Cradle of Filth, Song for a Raven, lyric video. Let's do it. stained her thighs. That's raw as hell, man. It's like the same piano for her Ghost in the Fog too. Okay, so that was Ghosts in the Fog Part 2, essentially.
So he wants to die with her.
Well, he's gonna die
He's
with
gonna
her.
die
Looks
with
like
her.
he's in
Well,
a
she already
prison.
died, but he's
looks
gonna...
like he's in a prison and they're gonna burn him at the stake because
Yep.
he killed the bishop or whoever it was. So in the first song, her Ghost in the Fog is about this woman, which now we find out her name is Clarissa.
Mm-hmm.
That she was so beautiful, everybody in the town loved her, and then basically a bunch of religious people raped her and killed her pretty much by a church. So that's her Ghost in the Fog. So then her ghost is haunting in the woods or whatever. This song to me is about so Decoil is right. He's in prison for burning the priest in part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna get the death penalty himself, which is why he says, the fire is not as much as my passion or whatever it was. But forgive the day's last serenades, her skies they bruise like Nordic women. Brilliant line.
Yep.
Brilliant line. Deep crimson stains that death would claim his robes of office swim in. So his robes of office, they have these long, impressive, he's swimming in these crazy robes, but at the same time, like he's a dude's a sexual predator. Like the correlation between religion and sexual predation is very interesting, because I don't think religion makes you a sexual predator, but
No, I just think that it can help disguise you.
correct. It definitely creates the petri dish wherein sexual predators love to germinate, because
Yep.
there's I talked to we talked about this because we were seeing it happen, and so we were on with the FBI, all types of shit. Like, it got to that level because some of the shit that
Yeah.
we were being told about was insane. And I'm like, and I would have like pastors call me up. They'd be like, yo, this guy, he's doing, what do you call it? He's got an adopted kid, and then his wife found a bunch of child porn on this guy's computer. So now you've got this vulnerable child in this situation, and the foster dad is watching child porn on the computer.
Nope.
What do you think is
Unbelievable.
happening to that adopted kid? Right? Because and then turns out they do this a lot. They always foster kids, never adopt the kids, but they always foster them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this guy was regularly going to the church, all type of shit. So the dude called me. He's like, yo, what should I do? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I thought I was going to have to be like, well, don't kill him. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, nope. Nope. It was just like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Of course, you have to report this to the authorities. He wouldn't do it. Didn't want to ruffle any feathers, yada, yada, yada. He's, it's a mistake, I called you, yada, yada, yada. I was like, yeah, it was a mistake, bitch. So I went up and I called up the FBI, and, we did whatever we needed to do. But, like...
What did he think you were going to say?
The same thing all those other people were saying, because we were downtown, and they were like, you guys are the only church that does that. You guys are the only church that looks at the sex offender registry and all that. And look, there's a difference between, like, you were 18 and the girl was 16 and she told you she was 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
same.
I
We're
agree.
talking about like you're 35 and the girl was 12. You jumped in her window, bro. Like that's the type of shit I'm talking about. That's the type of, those are the type of people that were allowed to just have complete access to kids and all. I like to this day, I really, really don't understand. Like I don't understand that. Like I like the husband wife stuff. I completely understand it, but like the child molesting stuff and the actual like. You have actual sexual assaulters like in these churches. This shit is just crazy. And so like, I do think that Amy's point is correct. Celibacy is not natural. As a matter of fact, in the New Testament, there's only one reference to a group of people who deny marriage and sexuality, and Paul says that those are doctrines of demons. That those are demonic. That's a demonic idea. One thing that's fascinating to me about the New Testament is it's extremely practical relative to human sexuality. Mm-hmm. You got passages, it's better to marry than to burn. You got, 1 Corinthians where it says, 2 Corinthians where it's talking about like, don't withhold sex from each other so long so you could give an opportunity to the devil. Mm-hmm. It's very, very practical when it comes to sexuality. So Paul says these people that forbid
there's
marriage.
Like one part, this is kind of funny. It was like, look, if you want to set aside some time to like what Vin was just talking about, if you want to set aside some time to like pray and get like very spiritual, fine. Yeah. But don't do it for too long.
Don't do it
like
for
the
too
Bible
long.
Literally tells you don't do it for too long.
Yeah, like don't do your
go back and do it.
Right, because if you don't, you leave a fit hole to the devil. So it's like, yo, you're doing this spiritual thing.
I know you guys are weak, so
you're doing this spiritual thing, and then that thing becomes it's just extremely practical relative to sexuality. It's one of the reasons I believe in it so much.
I think that one's funny because there's like the religious aspect of it where it's like, they set aside, they're praying together, you know what I mean? It's like really religious. But the religious document is saying, but don't pray for too long.
Don't do this
Make
thing.
sure you...
Yeah, don't do this
where you don't have sex, where you're just praying, blah, blah, blah. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, so the scripture says that those who forbid marriage, that's part of a demonic doctrine. That's the demons came up with the idea. That's not, but now it's just especially, obviously in the Western, right, on the Catholic side, I mean, forget it. I mean, that makes you this great virtuous person. You're
apparently...
at your abstinence from the sexual marketplace, as they say, like now all of a sudden like you're super spiritual, and you're right, there's some practical things like property issues, like because the priests were becoming way too powerful, so if you had biological children, you basically guaranteed a little empire and a kingdom, and those priests were starting to accumulate more practical power than the bishops, so you can't have that. And so here's this new revelation, but and then here's Perkinos. Of course! It's older than the Middle Ages, but the Middle Ages is a good example of celibacy not working. It was common for medieval priests, bishops, and cardinals to have mistresses and children. And everybody knows about like the pornocracy and the papacy and all that. Like Martin Luther was talking about. I forgot what he called it, But yeah, like that's a real thing. Like I don't want to stereotype Catholic priest. I'm a Protestant, and there's enough like sexual assault, abuse, or whatever that is looked the other way. So I'm not gonna stand up here and be like, oh, it's those Catholics. Like
no.
This problem is also a Protestant problem as well, and. I'm trying to find ways to say this because we're Christians, and I'm not gonna talk about evangelicalism or Christianity apart from us because that's our people. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna be like, oh, we're different from those people. Like these are our folks. But the fact of the matter is, if you have had an experience like that in a religious context, I would advise you to go to law enforcement first. Go to law enforcement, then tell your pastor. And when your pastor has the understanding that law enforcement 100%. Is already involved, it gets all the, quote, pressure off of him so he can do whatever. Because
You're right.
I can't figure out what the fuck is going on. Like, in my view, like, you should be the main one that, like, you're a shepherd. Like, that's what pastor means, is a shepherd. And your job is to, like, attack wolves that are trying to consume your sheep. Mm-hmm. So if you've got women in your church, little boys in your church that are being assaulted, how the fuck you send this person off to another parish or whatever, I'll never understand. But if you're in a situation where an assault has happened, you need to go to the police first. I'm not telling you not to go to your pastor. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you need to go to the police first.
Yeah.
Then go to your pastor. Let him know there's an active investigation happening. So all the and if he tries to talk you out of it, don't listen to him. Switch churches.
Yeah.
But that's the best I can do right now in this situation, because like that's the only conclusion I can come to. Because if you just go to the pastor and expect him to take it from there, I'm sorry, 9.9 times out of 10, they're not gonna do it. This shit's gonna happen. Like they're gonna silence you and tell you to be quiet, and then they're gonna try to flip it on you and tell you that you have an unforgiving spirit if you want to pursue legal charges. Look, you could pursue legal charges and still have a forgiving spirit. Mm-hmm. God does it all the time. God says, yep, I forgive you. Me and you, relationship-wise, are good, but there is this bill you have to pay. You're not going to get away with this.
So what used to happen was the people would have to go. There was only one temple for the Jewish people. They'd go over there to pay their taxes, basically, to make their sacrifices for the sins that they had done, whatnot. Well, they had to travel a long way. So on the way there, they couldn't bring the necessary, whatever animals they were going to sacrifice, they couldn't bring it on the long journey that the animal wouldn't survive. They were having a hard enough time just bringing themselves and their family there. So they would have to get to the temple, and at the temple, then they would buy the whatever they were going to sacrifice. So obviously the people that lived there knew that this was a great place to get a lot of money, because these people had no other choice. They had to buy from you to make their sacrifices. So they just gouged these people for the money. So when Jesus came on the scene, people hear the story about him flipping over tables. This is what was going on. He went nuts on these people. He was flipping their tables. He made a whip out of some ropes. He drove people out of there, and he said, "Don't you dare make my Father's house a house of thieves, a den of thieves." He was furious with those people for what they did, because they were using his Father's house to make profit off of these people. And that's how furious Jesus was. If he was here now, like on the earth, like what the frig he would do to pastors using his Father's house to molest children and then hiding that for whatever reason, like if you're trying to protect the church, or you're trying to protect God, or you're trying to protect yourself because you were the leader of that church and this shit happened on your watch. I don't know what people are trying to do, but Jesus is not in any way, shape, or form okay with that. As furious as he was about them just taking money from people, this is way, 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 way worse in the eyes of God, what's happening. So if anything happened to you like that, like just let it be known that is not okay, that is not acceptable, and God is furious with the people that did that to you. And if those people have not been brought to justice, then
yeah, I mean this shit is just crazy. Mm-hmm. And, I was... Here's Amy. I was in Catholic school for girls only. We heard our Mother Superior yell at the priest for watching some girls. He went to an all-boys school after that. Exactly.
Good. But he shouldn't have been there at all.
Not good.
He should have been in the... No, I'm saying...
The guy's a fucking predator.
No, I'm saying good to the fact that the superior yelled at him for watching the girls, but bad that they shipped him to another location.
That's what I'm saying.
But a lot of times, they didn't even... Like, there's plenty of those times where the superiors heard shit going on and let it go. That documentary we were watching, the other people knew that stuff was happening and it wasn't getting stopped. So at least somebody said something to them. But he shouldn't have been shipped to another location with more kids.
Those are hyper hierarchized. Like I don't know like how much a Mother Superior can actually do. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, it's
yeah.
It's like the big mama on Handmaid's Tale, whatever her name is. You know what I'm saying? The one
I know
who's
who you're
like the
talking
leader of all the girls or
Lydia?
whatever. But
Aunt
Lydia. Yeah, she's got very little power. Extremely like little power.
Yeah,
There's
she
very
does.
little things that she could do, but even that example, it's like the guy's a fucking pervert. Like get the guy help, defrock him, whatever. Say obviously the priest game is not for you.
Defrock him.
Why would you send him to another?
I agree. Boys? I agree. Shoot, there was something you were just saying.
I'm not sure about God. He seems a bit pervy, but Jesus, however, seems 100% decent. Okay. Well, Jesus is the exact image of God. So Just stay with that one, Amy. We're in good shape. But like, I don't know, man. This guy ends up killing these dudes, and he gets burned at the stake the next day, and you know. I challenge, you know, like I said about mirror time, I do that a lot. Like, and I think to myself, like, how can I say, yep, I'll follow you, Jesus, but I know now there's certain circumstances where I would completely do exactly the opposite of what Jesus wants me to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know,
Yep.
and it's you guys. You know, like something almost happened a couple days ago. You know, it was like 4 seconds away from some real disaster. You know what I'm saying? Like where I'm at right now, man. Like if somebody assaulted one of my girls, like you, Selah, Zoe, like.
I pray all the time. God, don't let that happen, please.
I have a heart, like, I'm a big loyalty person, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel terrible about how disloyal to Christ I am in that regard.
Wow.
But I know where I am right now. If somebody hurt my girls like that, like, they would... Yeah. So, it's you know... It's hard, like, loving somebody that much, but not being able to, at this point in your life, be, you know, the kind of person I'd want to be.
Mm.
But I couldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't. You should go to the police, but I wouldn't. So.
At this point.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the moment. If God put you in that situation, He would give you the necessary grace.
The scripture asks us to lead us not into temptation.
Mm-hmm.
The scripture says He knows that we're dust, so
right.
He knows what my limitations are, but yeah, it's a real, like, it's something I really don't look at, like, a lot in the face because I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, like, you know, this dude is on the registry. There was a 20-year gap between the girl he assaulted and yet you've got him running around in your church not telling the parents, fucking in the back with the library with the little kids. Like, that was pretty much the end of it for me, to be honest with you. Like, I was done with everything, like, when that happened, honestly.
I bet.
Like, that was, like...
I bet, especially because of who you are. Like, how you are constructed as a person, yeah.
Yeah, and this dude did... This dude did what most of us would do. And he's like, that's why he said, like, I don't care about... you know, the fact that I'm going to get burned at the stake tomorrow because my passion and the pain that I'm feeling is worse than that would be anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, the way that he found her, the just the whole thing. It's just so horrible. Yeah, I could see how he would want to.
I just think, like, you know, my icon for you right now is when you were like 12. Like, that's the phone icon I have for you.
Yeah, I think I was 10 actually.
And I just think about, like, you hear X amount of girls are raped. You know, we were watching another discussion yesterday. Why don't you go and report it and all this? And I'm just like, all these bright-eyed kids is so beautiful, and like to just like corrupt and destroy that because you have some 10-minute urge in like all that light that little child is carrying around. Like you're gonna snuff that out because you want to consume that person. It's just crazy to me. It's like the scripture says, like this, you know, that's why it analogizes sexual assault to murder.
Yeah.
This is like when a man catches another man in a field and he cried out, but there was no one to help him, so he was consumed. Like, it's just... I don't believe in the death penalty on principle. As a Christian, you should never call for the death penalty. But man,
I just, when that girl said yesterday, like, well, why didn't you report it? When she had gotten assaulted or whatever. I'm like, I went with someone within this past year. We went down to the police station because someone had grabbed her and forced her onto them.
At work. Right? Yeah.
At work. It was the manager. And the manager knew where the cameras were and where the cameras weren't. And specifically said it. And like sitting down at the police station, waiting forever to get in there, and then finally sitting down with someone just to have them say, well, on a technical level, I know it's weird, but you technically assaulted that person because you are the one that touched them, even though they grabbed you and put your hand on them. Like, you're technically the one that did. So there's really nothing that can be done. I was like, no, he grabbed her hand and put it on him. Doesn't matter. He grabbed her hand, but that's just like invasion or so. I don't know. I couldn't even believe it. And I was like, you know what? This is why people don't come down here to report this stuff, is because we all have friends that have been through these situations, that have experienced these things. And so we know what happens when you go down there. And so to have that situation happen to you and then to go to the law and have it invalidated is just too much for people. And then, if you go to the law and they say, yeah, the only thing that you can do is try to take them to court, then you know that you have to face them in court and you have to go through that whole rigmarole, knowing full well that the majority of times...
That's why I asked a homie, I'm like, yo, bro.
I know.
I was like, let's just go see him, bro. Mm-hmm. Because I knew that, I didn't know, but, like, we didn't do that shit, like, where I was coming out. I was like, yo, let's go see him. We know where the guy works. Mm. I will go right now. Let's go. But, he did the right thing. He went through the law. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just...
He did the right thing. It did nothing. So, the homie's still running around like he hasn't done anything to anybody or traumatized anybody. And so his record still looks clean, so I'm sure he's going to repeat this action with somebody else.
And a lot of times, she's right. The time you get for that kind of assault, or grape, as she calls it, is less than what you get for abusing an animal. You killed a bald eagle in America, forget it, my guy. You going to jail. You doing fed time, my nigga. You do some shit to a woman, man, forget it. Or a child, or a kid. All right. But, my mom used to say all the time, there's a God in heaven. Mm-hmm. And one day he's going to square everything. Mm-hmm. And, people say, God's killing a bunch of people in the Bible, blah, 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 blah. It's like, man, shut the fuck up. You got people running around doing shit like that to kids, all types of shit. Fucking ground opens up and swallows you alive in Sheol. I don't give a fuck. Some of y'all need to, start thinking rationally here and start thinking. You got people walking around on the planet doing shit like that to kids. God's just supposed to sit there and be like, yeah, man, you cool, come in. Nah. Something's gotta happen. Something has to happen. And a lot of people, they get on their high horse and criticize God for killing people. The real issue should be, why did you make any of us in the first place capable of doing shit like that? You're going to worry about God killing a few people. Nah, he needs to kill us all, honestly. And sometimes, man, I'm like, just fucking kill us all, dude, honestly.
Yeah, well, he's got a plan.
There's not a single one of us out here who aren't absolutely fucking corrupt. You'll have a bunch... Anyway, the guy killed the girl. So they killed his girl, he went and killed them, and then he got burned at the stake the next day. We all lived happily ever after. Allah will have to sort it out.
On the other side.
A good song for me. I didn't like it as much as her Ghost in the Fog. I think her Ghost in the Fog is my favorite Cradle of Filth song, and probably in the top 10 songs all time for me if I had to do a top 10. One of these days I might do a top 10.
You should.
Roki goes, in other news, I suck ass at editing music videos. Yeah. I told you, God needed the entertainment. It's a 9.3. Shout out to the Big Hook. See, me and Dan are the same guy. See, that's the thing. That's why God put Dan in Australia.
What did he say?
Because if Dan was up here and that shit happened, and I said, yo, come through, he would have come through. He'd have come through. That's what I'm saying. I was telling, and you know, I knew the dude wasn't going to do. I was like, nah. I was hitting him. I was like, yo, man.
I was like 8 months pregnant or something at the
Yeah.
time. And I was like thinking, well, how can I make this guy pay without like maybe getting in any trouble? But I decided to stay out of it. Support my friend instead. You'd have been so mad if I tried to do something anyway.
It wouldn't have made any sense. It made any sense. 9.3. I enjoyed the song. Vin's top 10 consists mostly of Beatles songs.
9.3 for me.
All right. Well, you wonderful people, thank you so much for joining us.
Did Nick show back up?
No, I didn't see Nick anymore. Okay. Shout out to the big homie Perkinaw. Shout out to Amy Lee forever. You know we always love you when you're here. Michelle, thank you for sharing everything. We love all you beautiful people. Much love to you all. I'm pretty sure we're shooting another show tomorrow. Be there or be square.